You know, when you think about American finance, Wall Street might be the first thing that comes to mind. But behind all that, there's this massive kind of unseen army of professionals who are managing the country's investments. So who are they? Where do they work? And where is this whole industry even headed? Well, today we're going to dive right into that using the 2025 FINRA Industry Snapshot as our guide.
We're going to tackle this in 3 parts. First up, we'll look at the sheer size of this workforce. How many people we're actually talking about. Then we'll get into the constant movement, the churn of people coming, going, and switching firms. And finally, we'll zoom out and look at the map to see where these pros are actually located.
Let's just start with the headline number. As of 2024, there are 634,508 FINRA-Registered Representatives in the United States. That is a lot of people. And what's important to know is this isn't a shrinking field. The data shows that after a tiny dip a few years back, the industry has seen really consistent growth, adding thousands of new pros every single year.
Okay, so we've got this city-sized population of financial professionals. But where do they all work? Are they all in small, independent shops? Or are they at these giant corporations? Well, the data gives us a super clear answer.
So, have a look at this. It's actually pretty staggering how concentrated the workforce is. A massive 81.7% of all registered reps work for large firms. We're talking firms with 500 or more professionals. Mid-size and small firms, well, they account for less than 20% combined. So yeah, the industry is absolutely dominated by the big players.
But here's a fantastic little detail that tells an even deeper story. Check this out. The average number of reps per firm is 198, but the median is only 12. So what does that tell you? It means you've got a handful of mega firms that are so enormous, they pull that average way, way up. The reality for most firms is that they're actually pretty small. It's a perfect illustration of how top-heavy this industry really is.
Okay, so beyond firm size, what about the roles these people play? When we look at what they're licensed to do, we see this really fascinating, almost perfect 50-50 split. About 49% are only broker-dealer reps, while 51% hold a dual registration as both a broker-dealer and an investment advisor. And this dual registration thing, that's been a growing trend, and it's a huge hint at a major shift in the industry.
And that brings us perfectly to our second big theme, movement. This industry is anything but static. I mean, it's a story of constant churn, with tens of thousands of people moving in, moving out, and moving around every single year.
So in 2024, the industry saw a net gain of talent. You had over 44,000 new people enter the field, while about 38,000 left. This continues a recent trend of positive growth, which means the industry isn't just growing, it's also attracting new folks to replace those who are retiring or maybe switching careers.
But the story of who's coming and going is really only half the picture. The crucial point here is the incredible amount of movement within the industry. Get this, in 2024 alone, there were roughly 90,000 transfers of professionals between different firms. That's a huge number, and it just shows you what an incredibly dynamic and competitive world this is for talent.
Okay, before we break down those transfers, let's just do a quick timeout to clarify that key term we saw earlier, the dual representative. Basically, this is a pro who can act as both a broker, executing trades, and as an investment advisor, offering financial advice for a fee. Understanding this is absolutely critical to seeing where the industry is heading.
All right, so check this out. The most common career move with about 25,000 transfers was a duly registered pro just moving to another firm. But look at number 2. Nearly 20,000 professionals who were only broker-dealer reps moved to a new firm and added an investment advisor registration. This is the big story here. The strongest current in this river of industry transfers is flowing directly towards that dual registration model.
And now for our final act. Let's pull the camera way back and look at the entire country. Where does this massive workforce of over 600,000 people actually live and work? The geographic footprint of American finance? Well, it might just surprise you.
This first map shows us the raw concentration, just where the highest number of registered professionals are. And as you might guess, there are no huge surprises. The traditional powerhouses light up the map. States with big populations in major financial centers, like California, Texas, Florida, and New York, they're the darkest, meaning they have the largest total headcounts.
But raw numbers only tell part of this story. This is where it gets really interesting. This second map changes the focus from where the pros are now to where the industry is growing the fastest. And this paints a very different picture. While those traditional hubs are still huge, we're seeing the highest percentage growth in other regions entirely. It kind of suggests that wealth and financial services are becoming more spread out across the country.
And here are the hard numbers to back up that first map. Look at this. Florida now leads the pack with almost 345,000 state-level registrations. California, New York, and Texas are all packed in tightly right behind, each with well over 300,000. And rounding out the top 5 is North Carolina. The scale here is just immense. These 5 states alone account for millions of individual registrations.
So what does all this mean when you put it together? The landscape of American finance is massive, it's super dynamic, and it's clearly evolving. We've seen it's concentrated in these huge firms, but its professionals are becoming way more versatile, and its geographic footprint is slowly starting to shift. And all of that leaves us with one final question. As technology keeps enabling remote work and wealth continues to shift across the country, where will the next financial hotspots emerge?